All right, this is the study guide for your guys' quiz tomorrow. So first thing is we have some one-step equations. So how I want you to do this is have a sheet of notebook paper out. You're going to copy down the problem, or if you had a printer, you could print off the assignment, either way. And I just want you to write down the problem and try it. Pause the video when you try it, and then play it and see what the answer is. So here's what I would do if I were you. Say, okay, number one, negative 3x equals 18. Pause the video, solve it, play the video, see if you're right. And then do the same thing for number two, and so on and so forth. So I'll go kind of slow, or I'll pause in between each question. So negative 3x equals 18. I would drop my line. I'd say these are next to each other, which means multiplication, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by a negative 3. So I'm left with x equals 18 divided by 3 is 6, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So x equals 6. Pause. Play. Okay, 3/4 t equals negative 12. Drop the line. Again, they're right next to each other, which means multiplication, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to say t equals, remember we read going down, so this says 12 divided by 3/4, which means I need to keep, change, and flip. Simplify, and I get 4 times 4, which is 16. So t equals 16. Copy the problem down, pause. Okay, this says n divided by negative 4. Drop my line. The opposite of division is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply by a negative 4. That will make these cancel out, leaving me n equals 20 times 4 is 80. A positive times a negative is a negative, so n equals negative 80. P plus 14 equals negative 32. Drop my line. I see a positive 14, so I know I need to do a negative 14. So if P equals, my signs are the same, so I'm going to add them and keep their signs. So P equals negative 46. Number 5, R minus 13 equals negative 25. Drop my line. I see a negative 13, so I need a positive 13. So I have R equals, signs are different, so I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger number. R equals negative 12. Number 6, drop my line. I see negative 8. The opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. That's the only way I can make that negative 8 go away. So I'm left with Y equals 22. Okay, so one-step equation is pretty easy. Let's see about two-step equations. All right, so 6 equals A divided by 4 plus 2. I'm going to drop my line. I'm going to start away from the variable, so I start with the minus 2 on either side. So on this side, I'm left with 4 equals A over 4. I see that this is division, so I know I need to multiply by 4 on both sides. And I get 16 equals A, so A equals 16. Okay, number 8, copy down the problem, pause and solve. Drop the line. I'm going to subtract 1 from either side because I got to do away from the variable first. So now I'm left with 9x equals, signs are the same, so I'm going to add them and keep their sign. Numbers are next to each other, which means multiplication, so I'm going to do the opposite, which is division. So I'm left with 81 divided by 9 is 9, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So I get x equals negative 9. Number 9, drop my line, work away from the variable, so I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So I'm left with 8x equals 24. I'm going to divide both sides by 8, and I get x equals 3. Okay, here's number 10. Copy it down, solve it. Now watch me do it. So I see the positive 4 that I need to get rid of first. Okay, so the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. So I need to subtract 4 from both sides. I'm left with negative 6x equals 4. I see these are being multiplied, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by negative 6. So I get x equals, and then since I can't do 4 divided by 6 evenly, I know I'm going to leave it as this fraction, but I'm going to write it in simplest form. So 4/6 in simplest form is 2/3. And I have a positive and a negative, which is a negative. So your answer to 10 should be x equals negative 2/3. Right, number 11. This longer problem, one with distribution. Copy it down, try it. Now here's the answer. We're going to drop our line. Actually, I shouldn't do that first. I should distribute first. So 7 times 2 is 14z. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 5 equals negative 16. Now, combine your like terms. I have a plus 7 and a plus 5 here. Let's do that. So I have 14z plus 12 equals negative 16. Away from the variable first, so I'm going to subtract 12. I'm left with 14z equals, signs are the same, so I'm going to add them and keep their sign. Number and variable next to each other means multiplication, so the opposite is division. I'm left with z equals 28 divided by 14 is 2, and a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So z equals negative 2. Let's try one more equation. So I'm going to distribute first. This one has fractions, so be careful. So I have 5/8x. Distribute that again. Plus 4/8. And you can leave it like that. It's not a big deal. Equals 3/4. Drop my line. I start to solve. I know I have to do this positive 4/8, which is a negative 4/8 is the opposite. So I'm left with 5/8x equals, oh, I need a common denominator in order to subtract. So I'm going to rewrite this one as, instead of 3/4, it's going to say 6/8. And that gives me 2/8. And I don't have to simplify it until the very end. So 5/8 next to the x means multiplication. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by 5/8. Remember, read going down. So this says 2/8 divided by 5/8. But it's division, so I want to keep, change, and flip. I'm going to simplify first, and I get the answer is 2/5. And it was a positive divided by a positive, so that's my final answer. My answer should be x equals 2/5. So on the other side, we have some inequalities. So we have 8x minus 7 is less than or equal to 17. So just like with an equation, I drop the line, this time from the inequality sign. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. That gives me 8x is less than or equal to 24. The 8 and the x are right next to each other, which means multiplication. So I want to do the opposite, which is division. So that leaves me x is less than or equal to 3. I did not need to flip my sign because I divided by a positive. So that means I should put 3 in the middle. So I'm going to say 2, 3, 4 for my number line. It says or equal to, which means a closed circle on the number 3. And my variable is first, and the arrow's pointing this way. So I know anything to the left would be a logical answer. Okay, let's try number 2. 4 minus 6x is greater than or equal to 8. Drop the line. I need to take care of that 4 first, and that's a positive 4. So the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. So I have negative 6x is greater than or equal to 8 minus 4 is 4. I see multiplication here, so I need to do division. And I should have a big ding, 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 ding going off in my head because I just divided by a negative. And when I divide by a negative, remember, you have to switch your sign. Okay, 4 divided by 6 doesn't work, so I'm just going to simplify that fraction to 2/3. And a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So I have negative 2/3. All right, so negative 2/3. A number larger is negative 1/3. A number smaller is negative 3/3, or you could have put negative 1. Okay, less than or equal to, that means 2/3 is a choice. It can be equal to negative 2/3. Variable on the left, so I can use that arrow to help me figure out which way to shade. All right, let's look at the next one. Here, I'm going to want to simplify before I start to solve, so I can combine the like terms 15y and negative 8y. 15 minus 8 is 7y plus 12 is greater than negative 2. Let's drop our line and start to solve. So I need to get the constant, do away from the variable first. So I see a positive 12, so I want to do a negative 12 or subtract 12. That leaves me 7y is greater than, signs are the same, so I'm going to add them and keep their sign. I see 7 right next to the y, which means multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is division. So I have y is greater than negative 2. I did not need to flip my sign this time because I divided by 7, and 7 is a positive number. So I have negative 2, so I'm going to go negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. It says greater than, it doesn't say greater than or equal to, so that's going to be an open circle. My variable's on the left, and I see it's pointing this way, so that lets me know which way to shade. I want to shade to the right. Any number larger than negative 2 is going to work. All right, let's try this one. Drop your line. I need to get rid of my constant first, so I see a negative 3, and the opposite of a negative 3 is a positive 3. So I'm left with y over negative 3 is greater than 1 plus 3 is 4. I see division here, and the opposite of division is multiplication. But again, ding, 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 ding. I am multiplying by a negative number. And when I multiply by a negative number, I better flip my sign. So 4 times 3 is 12. And a positive times a negative is a negative. So I get y is less than negative 12. So I'm going to put negative 12 in the middle. So it'll go negative 13, negative 12, negative 11. It says is less than. So I don't want to include negative 12. My variable's on the left, which is good because the way that arrow is pointing tells me which way to shade. Oh, look at this, a nice one-stepper in the middle of this. All right, so negative 6x is greater than or equal to negative 18. These are being multiplied, and the opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide by a negative 6. Okay, again, ding, 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 ding. I said divide by a negative, and when I divide by a negative, I better switch my sign. So 18 divided by 6 is 3. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I get x is less than or equal to 3. So when I make my number line, I'm going to say 2, 3, 4. Close dot because it says or equal to 3. My arrow is pointing to the left, so that's the way I'm going to shade. 3 more, guys. You're doing awesome. And if you can do these fairly well, you should feel really confident about your quiz tomorrow. All right, so distribute first. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, is greater than or equal to negative 36. Drop my line. I'm going to do the negative 8 first. The opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. So I'm left with 4x is greater than or equal to, signs are different, and when my signs are different, I subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger. This says 4 times x, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So I have x is greater than or equal to, 28 divided by 4 is 7. A negative times a positive is a negative. Notice I didn't have to flip my sign because I divided by a positive number. I divided by positive 4. So I have negative 6, so we're going to go negative 8, negative 7, negative 6. It says or equal to, which means I want a closed circle. My variable is on the left, and it's pointing in this direction. So that's the way we want to shade. All right, 2 more. Distribute first. So 1/2 times y is 1/2 y. 1/2 times negative 4 is negative 2 plus 6 is less than 16. Combine your like terms. Okay, so I have 1/2 y. My signs are different, which means I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger, so plus 4 is less than 16. Drop my line and solve. Get rid of that constant. It's a positive 4, so I want to do a negative 4 or subtract 4. So I'm left with 1/2 y is less than 16 minus 4 is 12. A number next to a variable means multiply, and the opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 1/2. So I'm left with y is less than, I didn't have to flip the sign because I divided by a positive. Now I have to be careful. Read going down, so it's 12 divided by 1/2, or keep, change, flip. Y is less than 24. Okay, so when I do my number line, I'm going to have 23, 24, 25. It says is less than. It doesn't say equal to, so that's an open circle. Variables on the left, the arrow's pointing this way, so I know I need to shade to the left. Okay, very last one. Drop my line. Constant says 15. It's positive 15, and I want to get rid of that first. So opposite of positive 15 is negative 15. So I'm left with negative 3y is less than or equal to 30 minus 15 is 15. Numbers next to each other, which means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by negative 3. Again, ding, 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 ding. I divided by a negative. I need to flip my sign. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So y is greater than or equal to negative 5. So I would say negative 6, negative 5, negative 4. It says greater than or equal to, which means a filled in dot. My variable's on the left. It is pointing this direction, so I know any number to the right of negative 5, including negative 5, would be the correct answer. If you guys have questions on this, I will have Zoom this afternoon, so make sure you jump on if you have any questions.